Good morning, everyone. So, I haven't posted anything in quite a while, but today I want to cover my thoughts on the election. It is still being contested. The media has called it. So, I just want to point out some things. If you're unhappy because one candidate beat another candidate, so be it. Everyone's going to be unhappy. The thing that we need to realize as US citizens, we need to make sure that our politicians are going by the Constitution when it comes to everything. So I know there's a lot of contention about if Biden and Harris win, that they'll try to take away your gun rights. They can try. But the problem is they can't override the US Constitution. All right. They can try to pass laws that will override the US Constitution. But the thing is, they can't do it, folks. They can try to water down our gun rights. And they may be able to accomplish that for a short period of time. But we do have the US Supreme Court that I believe is fair and at times unpartisan. And currently, if you want to look at biases and see who's been appointed, the Republican Party technically controls the Supreme Court based on who's been appointed in numbers. But as they've already shown, those individuals that have been appointed will protect the US Constitution. Now, I know a lot of people are screaming there's fraud in this election. They were screaming there was fraud in the last election, the election before that, election before that, election before that. Now, the only way we can make changes is for us to stand up to our elected representatives and tell them that we want the elections handled in a certain way. In arguments with each other across social media and other aspects of things doesn't fix anything. It just causes more anger, more hate between individuals that shouldn't hate each other. We may have different beliefs when it comes to political affiliations. Some of us are more conservative than others. Some of us are more liberal than others. Okay? The thing is, we need to understand that there's a process. We're a republic. There's a process that has to be done for certain things to happen. And with our elections, yes, you can look at the maps and you can see that the large cities are the ones that really control the elections. But that's why we have a Senate that is set up the way it is. It's not based on population. We do have the House of Representatives, which is based on population. Now, what we probably need to do is look at how different states draw up their lines to determine districts. For example, here in Utah, the district that has the largest population is Salt Lake County. But the representative from Salt Lake County pulls into my district, technically, to Utah County. The western part of Utah County pulls into Salt Lake County. Why? No idea why they did that, why they set it up that way. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. And a lot of the boundaries that are drawn across the United States by different governments, because whoever's in control gets to draw up those boundaries. is strong enough to try to make sure that they win elections. Is that wrong? Yes, it's wrong because it's not following the will of the people. Okay? Our political system is not set up for political parties. Our forefathers did not want political parties, even though they did get involved with political parties and set up different factions. And that's what we're dealing with right now, is different factions, different ideologies from different political parties. Other political parties have been formed to try to stop this from happening. The only problem is we've got two parties that are in total control. And those two parties do not look after the will of the people. They look after what's best for themselves. It's time that we as US citizens take back control of the government. Now, this election is passed. It's done. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever the courts decide, they'll decide. But what we need to understand is what we're seeing now is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse unless we stand up to these individuals that are using their money and their power to control the government. Okay? That's what we need to do. As individuals, we need to stand up for our rights. So, plenty of people are going to scream and holler that the election was unfair, that there was votes that were cast that shouldn't have been cast. The whole same rhetoric as what happened last time when Trump was elected. Okay, if it's happening, we need to get it stopped. How do we get it to stop? We, the people, make the changes. We, the people, demand changes to the way elections are handled. I'm not saying do away with electoral college because it needs to be there. What I'm saying is voter fraud, if it's as rapid as everyone is saying, which is a distinct possibility based on statistics. Yes, there is more people registered to vote than there is populations in plenty of counties across the United States. And the states are required to scroll through those rolls and make sure that they are cleaned up. If they're not doing it, we the people need to step in and say this needs to be done. And the only way we can do that is number one, enact action. Enact action how? Well, you either demand the change or you put together an action group that has to put money together because unfortunately the legal system costs a ton of money, and you sue. I don't advocate suing because the only people that ever win in lawsuits are the lawyers. Sorry, my legal friends are lawyers, but it's the truth. Because our political system has been derailed by people of wealth, and so has our legal system. It has become apparent that if you have money, you pretty much can get away with a lot of different things before you're called to task. The thing is, the populace, the larger part of the population, are not wealthy. But we can enact change because we are the larger part of the majority. Now, I'm not saying get out and riot and burn vehicles and all that kind of stuff. No. We have to enact change by peaceful protest, by calling our leaders to tasks, by not accepting the fact when leaders are prosecuted and convicted that they should be allowed to still hold their office. All right? We've had presidents that have been disbarred for doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, lost their license to practice law, but we still vote them in as politicians. Why? Because they are controlled by the almighty dollar. Okay? I suggest you take a look at, and this is Republican and Democratic, both sides of parties, of individuals that become wealthy by becoming public servants, by becoming our elected officials. They've gotten wealthy off us, folks. How have they gotten wealthy off us? Okay, they pull in big salaries, but how do they become multimillionaires? I don't understand this. They become this wealthy, above the law individuals that do what they want to do. We, the people, need to start holding them to accountability for the things they do. And the only way we can do that is by voicing our opinion. And yes, I know that the Googles and the Facebooks and the other social media platforms out there will try to silence us. The only way we can make them not silence us is move forward and push them to listen. How do we do that? Well, if Google silenced this video, that's great. There's other platforms I'll go to share my opinion. If Facebook takes this down once I post it, there's other places I can go to set this up. We also can create our own social media groups. Okay? We, the people, need to take back control of the world. We, the people, need to stop listening to opinion pieces by the media, because that's what they're doing. They're not reporting the news anymore. Both sides report their opinion. They do not report facts. And then individuals, even I do it, take them as facts and bring them forward and say, these are the facts. They're not facts, folks, if it's not proven. It's just opinions. So my suggestion is, as we sit here and wonder what's going to happen with our government over the next 4 years, that we prepare to change the politically appointed. I'm not calling them leaders because they do not lead. They're puppets that get pulled by strings by the wealthy. The individual that has the biggest pay checkbook wins when it comes to elections. And how do they get the biggest checkbook? By agreeing to do the deeds of individuals that have the power and money. Yes, Mr. George Soros basically runs the Democratic Party. He's the largest donor in that party. How do we stop political corruption? We, the people, need to step up and do things to protect our interests in our country and take it back. That's all I'm going to say about this. I look forward to any comments. If you disagree with me, great. Make a comment. Send me a message. Totally open to that kind of thing. But that's where I stand with this. And for those that are saying, well, we're going to have a civil war, guess what, folks? Been in combat. It's not pretty. It's not romantic. Before we threaten that kind of thing, we need to really look at the civil ways of taking care of things. Violence begets more violence. Bottom line. Doesn't fix anything. And all it does is destroy and tear down. It does not rebuild. Remember that. Tear down, destroy, and not rebuild is what violence does. Those cities that rioted over the shooting of George Floyd, all they did was cause damage to their own properties, to their own shops and stuff. Where do they go to shop now? Those shops have been destroyed. Will those stores and stuff reopen? Probably not, because the cost of reopening now is going to be huge. We cannot allow that to happen. And that's all I'm going to say. So this is Jeff Lysette, YOY. Enjoy.